Welcome to the Rapport Advantage Podcast, transforming the way leaders communicate. Here's your host, Alex Swire-Clark.
Welcome to the show, everybody.
Hi, Alex.
How are you?
I'm good. Thank you very much.
It's been a very pollen-filled last few weeks, so I'm happy for the crickets. Yeah, they're eating grass and stuff, but it's getting all up in my nose, and I'm ending up chewing all over the place. So I'm going to try to get through this podcast without sounding like this. So we'll see how that works. But anyway, welcome to the Rapport Advantage Podcast. We are delighted to have you with us today. If you're new to the podcast, we are here to help you break down the walls of miscommunication, increase your emotional intelligence, and build better relationships in the workplace and beyond.
What?
That's what we do.
What?
That have you not listened to previous episodes?
What?
Just
shut up.
Exactly. Get off my radio, man. Okay.
Those
anyway,
are new.
That's those are guys who try to come in and they're trolling, as to use what the kids term. Oh, you just trolling me, man. Or throwing shade. Throwing shade is another thing that the kids say when they're putting negative stuff out there. Anyway, no shade here. If they're going to try to throw shade, we'll wreck them. I am Alex Swire-Clark, CEO, speaker, and certified human behavior expert.
And I'm Liz Parker, certified behavioral analyst, strategic growth consultant, job benchmarking whiz, and Vistage chair in Greenville, South Carolina.
South Kakalaki, as we say sometimes down here. So this show is all about you, the listener, so please give us your input and feedback. You can find us on Facebook at The Rapport Advantage, on Twitter at Rapport Podcast, or visit the website at rapportadvantage.com. You can find us on pretty much all the major outlets when it comes to podcasts. We're on Spotify, we're on Google Play Music, we're on Apple Podcasts, etc., etc. So look for us out there. We also, all of our stuff's on the website at alexswireclark.com. Our main show topic for the day, continuing kind of our thought process, we've had a couple of guest interviewees on in between our last series of 4, where we talked about the D's, I's, S's, and C's, some of their strengths and so forth. And this next 4-part series is going to talk about the top values that each style brings to a team. We're going beyond the individual and who they are and talk about the more of the inner dynamics of groups of folks and what they bring to a team scenario. The top 5 values to a team for the high Ds is where we're going to start today. So, Liz, do you want to start with number 1?
I would love to. And I figured that we're going to be a little briefer on this one because the Ds don't like us to chat too much. So first thing, bottom line organizer. They want to get right to the meat of the issue. They want to know exactly what the results are going to be. They want to make sure that we are not wasting time and we're not being fluffy.
That's right. So the devil's in the details, and to heck with the devil. Get it out of here. Just what's it going to be? Is it going to be 10% growth? Are we looking at 15% growth? Are we going to cut 12.5% of the jobs over the next 5 years? Whatever it is, just tell me what to do so I can go execute it. All about that bottom line.
Exactly right.
Very good. So number 2 is forward-looking and strategic. And as a high IS, this is one of those things as a CEO where I tend to struggle, and I gather other folks like Liz and other people to kind of help us think about, okay, where are we going to be in the next year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, and so forth, and building that around our mission, vision, and values. So, and again, Liz does a good job with that, ltresults.com. But from a forward-looking perspective, they're the opposite of what an S tends to be, and that's kind of nostalgic, kind of looking in the past. And if you look at my LinkedIn profile, you'll see that I have CEO, professional speaker. Then I always also have at the very end, cheesy 80s love song guru, which is not professional, but my LinkedIn profile guru said to put a little something unique about yourself that someone might find funny and they will want to click on that. So, or at least interesting, not necessarily funny. If you're not a funny person, you want to start putting funny things. Landing my plane here from a forward-looking strategic point of view, Ds are all about that. What's the next greatest thing? Ooh, if we modify this, we could do X. Or if we change this, product on our product line, we could reach these 2 countries because they don't have, whatever that thing is. So very strategic in how they think and very forward-looking.
Oh, Alex, that was very good to make it about you for a little bit and then to bring it back to the high Ds. So
Yes.
Nicely done.
Exactly.
It was a
Yes.
good comparison, a very good comparison. So I am going to link right into that because as they're forward looking and strategic, they are also very challenge oriented. They like those hard tasks. They like the hard problems to solve. They don't want some kind of easy thing that comes in the door. They want to put their brains to it. They want to think about it and they want to see what they can do to resolve it. So challenge oriented is a key thing to keep them motivated. If you don't have enough going on in a job, they are going to be bored stiff. So that's the value they bring to the team.
If you're looking at all those styles from a challenge-oriented perspective, the D's mentality is
Yes.
bring on the challenge. The I's mentality is, well, a little drama, it's all good, but because it ends up being about me anyway. It's like, oh, how can I help? Or what can I do to be involved? And then, those S's are going to slow it down a little bit, and they're going to applaud. They're going to actually get the win, but they're not going to be all in the front or whatever. And then from the C's, you're going to have the we're waiting, and they're going to analyze. We got a great visual that we put into our presentations. We're meeting with CEOs and other organizations where we talk about where each style leads from, and we'll possibly put that on another podcast in the future. But the C's lead from the side, so they're always looking at that big picture and so forth. So when it comes to a challenge, they're not necessarily fearful of challenges, but they want all the facts before they dive in. Which, from a D's perspective, we're just jumping in. Bring it on. I'm ready to fight somebody. King Kong versus me, whatever. I'll go rent a water slide, make him slip down, fall, and I'll run over his head and beat him with a stick or whatever, that kind of thing. So they have never seen a challenge that they couldn't conquer.
Well, that was very well done. So go ahead and take number 4.
Number 4 is initiating activity. From that perspective, you'll have times, and one of the things I show in my presentations is a little clip from The Office, American version of The Office, where they're having a fire drill, and it all goes wrong, and Dwight, locked all the doors, and it's just panic and terror, and so in those moments, people are screaming, and it's, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? So those D's are those folks who are the take charge mentality. They initiate activity, so they're not panicking. They're okay, I got it. Here's what we're going to do. Follow me. They get everybody together, they rally around, and whatever the idea is, it could be the dumbest idea that's not thought through very much in those panicky scenarios. Like in our situation on The Office, you see, Jim slamming a copy machine against a door. That's never going to happen. And so they're trying all these different things, and so the D's rally people around them and say, come with me, I'm going, follow me.
And they have such authority when they deliver that message, don't they? It's just amazing. It's like you said, whether it makes sense or not, it doesn't matter. They sound like the authoritarian in the room.
That's right. I've been in 17,000 fires before, man. We got this. Let's go. So and that's wonderful to have on your team, especially from if you're surrounded by S's who are looking for people to guide them. Those people that don't necessarily want to make decision makers. D's are great because otherwise you end up with analysis paralysis, which happens a lot of times. What do we do? We could do, and we get a lot of could going on, and then the D ends up saying, well, we're going to do, and then they go start doing it.
Very clear. And the 5th of the top 5 values to a team is innovative. As you think about a high D, when you're looking at that strategic planning, you're looking at the challenges, you're looking at all those things that go on. They are also very creative and innovative. They think out of the box. They can look at things and just see how here's a new idea. Here's a way that we create this that never has been in existence before, or it's just a new approach to something. So as we think about this creativity side, they love that. And that's part of what goes on into that whole forward thinking and strategic is the innovative as well as intuitive. I kind of put intuitive in there too, because right in their gut, they just know this is the way to go. So that in innovative and intuitive go together for me.
You look at high Ds in organizations and they're there, even though you might not know them personally. Take a look at Amazon and you look at their business model from 10, 15 years ago. They were a seller of books. That was it. They sold books, and they were about to go out of business. And then they came in, they changed their model, and now they are the beast. I mean, there is when you talk about, they're almost Google-esque in terms of not necessarily being a verb, but in terms of, oh yeah, I just got it on Amazon. I mean, pretty much everything is, where'd you get those command strips? Well, I got them on Amazon. Oh, where'd you get that new outfit? Well, I got it on Amazon. Where'd you get that little Yakima storage tote for the top of your car? I got it on Amazon. I mean, everything is on Amazon. Music, whatever else, it's all there now. So they changed the way they did things, and they thought innovatively about it. There's so many other different examples about in the world of football. People saw this growth of the NFL, and how can we tap into that and monetize that? Fantasy football was created, back in the 80s when they started with baseball and things like that, and now they've got it on the computer, and now you've got websites like FanDuel and DraftKings and places like that where people go and spend money to play fantasy football and follow their favorite players as opposed to their favorite teams. And so huge millions and millions and millions of dollars are going into fantasy football on an annual basis. And because somebody said, well, why didn't I just watch the games, play for my favorite team? Why can't I pull for my favorite guy? And if they do well, then be rewarded for it. So it's all, like you said, that thinking outside the box, Liz.
If you'll allow me just to go back to that initial example you gave on Amazon, just to land on that, you've seen the new Audible commercials. Amazon owns Audible. They took the books, they made everybody wanted to listen to them. So even that whole approach in how they originally started to where they are now and how they're marketing that to make it so cool to be listening to your book instead of reading it is another very innovative idea. So you're exactly right. The high Ds have taken that and run with it. So great example initially.
Yeah, and that's why things like podcasting has gotten so popular. People have commutes, long times where they're either on a job doing, monotonous things where they don't have to engage their brain very much. They can be driving or they can be wherever and be engaged in a podcast or listening to a book. Because I'm talking to CEOs all the time, and you ask them, what's the best book you've read recently? Well, the best book I've read is... Well, I don't really know because I've listened to all my books. I said, well, that counts. I mean, you're reading it in your head. So, and then they start spouting off all these things. Well, from Audible or wherever else I've done, and not to make this a commercial for Amazon, but it is. I mean, it's the way of the future. You don't have the time necessarily to sit down at night in your chair and read a book, but everyone's got 20 minutes when they're going to the grocery store, 30 minutes in the car. So you just chunk it down and you end up reading these either classics or these great business books in the time that you have when you can't just be physically looking at a piece of paper. So
that's fabulous. Yep, definitely.
Awesome. Anything else that you want to add here at the end, Liz? Because, you got the high D thing going on.
Just the fact is, I love the fact we do bring value to a team and we just think we know it all the time. And we're right a lot of the time. So I got to say, we are on track with that. Now, we're not right every time, and we have a big ego that we have to kind of bring into check. But the value is that we're very positive as well. Well, most of us are very positive. If you have an I behind you, sorry, not all of them are. The DIs are very positive and we're very direct. So thank you. Thank you for letting me just share.
Well, as you said, those Ds are direct in terms of how they do things from a normal standpoint. But man, when they have a gut feeling about something, the majority of the time that they are right. And even if they're not right, they don't make excuses for it. And they go back and they correct it and they fix it and they find the next thing and they make it better. So love having Ds on my team if you know how to communicate with them properly. And if you don't, you need to go back and listen to podcast number 3, which is the basics of high D styles.
That's perfect. As long as we get the results on this, we're happy.
Perfect. Yeah, that's what we want, results. We did it, 27% up this month. Woo! So however that happens is a way to do it. That's going to do it for today's show. I'd like to thank Liz for joining me today. And Liz, how can folks get in touch with you?
Please email me at liz@ltresults.com or visit my website at ltresults.com.
Perfect. To get in touch with me, visit therapportadvantage.com if you're interested in finding out what style you are. Or to get a personality picture of your entire team, head over to therapportadvantage.com and click on that Rapport Store tab, and then the blue Rapport Store link will appear. And it'll take you to the assessment page. You can find the right one for you. You can order 1 or 25 or whomever that you're wanting to do. I'm working with the Make-A-Wish Foundation later on in June, and their CEO asked me, well, can I just order 20 for my team? And I said, well, you sure can. And you can get them as little as the 6-page basic assessment, which gives you a nice chunk of change in terms of finding out what style you are, what the words that are that best describe you, and then the complementary styles that work best with you or cover some areas that might be blind spots, which is great. And then you can get the 30-page or the 50-page. We have leadership ones and, of course, different languages and things like that. So a lot of positive feedback from the CEOs that I talked to in terms of, this whole DISC thing is great, but I've always just been about me, and I've never really expanded that. And so what we try to do when we're in organizations, Liz and I both, is we take these things and we say, okay, it's not just about you. It's about understanding yourself first, then about understanding others, and then that third thing is adapting who you are to the styles around you.
And that's a perfect link to us talking about why we were talking about value to the team, because we need to understand what each of these styles just bring to the team.
That's right. Because if I'm an S and I say, okay, well, I bring this to the team, but those Ds, they're awful. They're just mean, rude jerks. This is what? Oh, sorry. I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about the I's. Yeah. No, but you have to understand them and understand yourself, because if you just stop with your circle, then you're not getting as much meaning out of what we're trying to do here. So to help you improve or work with a relationship that you currently have, it might be with a D, it might be with a C. You never know. If you want to schedule that free 15-minute coaching session with me to help you improve that, fill out my contact form, shoot me an email, visit us on the website. Love to help you with that. On our next podcast, we'll look at the value that high I's bring to your team. And it's about everything. I mean, they bring everything to your team. They bring details, they bring fun, they bring directness, they bring support. Okay, well, they don't bring all that stuff. But anyway, we do bring a little bit, and we make that money for you, because we're all about giving people some love. For my broadcast partner in crime, Liz Parker, this is Alex Swire-Clark saying thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Rapport Advantage podcast. We'd love to hear from you. Join the conversation on Facebook at The Rapport Advantage and follow us on Twitter at Rapport Podcast.